Hi guys, my name is Grace, and today I'm going to be talking to you about why I made a temperature blanket. So, in 2021, I made a temperature blanket for that year, the year of 2021. I started on January 16th of 2021, and I didn't finish till January 16th of 2022. But why did I make a temperature blanket? It took me 365 days to complete my temperature blanket. But I started and ended late. They're a big commitment, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of dedication to finish one, and it's a lot of time and a big time commitment. So today I want to talk to you about why I made one, myths, and then also the pressure I had on myself on finishing on time, and how me being a perfectionist both got in my way and helped me. So, myths of temperature blankets. Number one is you have to work on it every day. You don't. There are patterns that are out there, especially granny square temperature blanket patterns that you can work on maybe once or twice a week, and you can still get them done by the end of the year if you keep up the pace. Myth number two is you have to finish it on December 31st of that year. You don't. Especially if you add a border and want to block your blanket, you should give yourself some time after the last day of your blanket to do the finishing work, including weaving in ends. I was very good in woven my ends as I went, but that's a tip. You should weave in your ends as you go. But I know some people don't do that, so you gotta leave time for that at the end because you'll have a lot of ends. So myth number three is that you have to use warm and cool colors to correspond with the warm and cool temperatures that you're going to be tracking. That's not the case. I used greens and blues and neutrals in my temperature blanket. I'll show you guys in a minute. And you can use whatever color palette you want. You don't have to use reds for warm colors and blues for cold colors. Do whatever you want. Do whatever will match your decor and whatever will make you happy. And then myth number four is it has to be based on temperature. So there are other year-long blanket projects. One of my other favorite ideas behind a temperature blanket is a mood blanket. So I know people track all sorts of different things over the span of a year, and they have different colors corresponding to the different data that they're looking at, and those are also really fun, year-long blanket projects if you're into that. And then the last myth is that the blanket has to be on the current year that you're in. I know a lot of people who do that, make blankets for the current year, but there are also really fun blankets you can do for special years, like the year someone was born or your anniversary year. And all the data for temperatures, if you want to use that as your data point, they're all saved online. So you can go online and type in your zip code for where you are and look at the historic data day by day for the area that you're in and make a blanket based off of that. So I'll show you my 2021 temperature blanket. It's really big. It fits a queen size bed. So I'll try and hold up as much as possible. But you can see I used blues and greens and neutrals, and I used this gray color here to delineate the months. So my blanket was 375 rows because there were 10 rows of the gray in between all the months. And let me show you some warmer colors. That's what it looks like on the bottom. And it was 310 single crochets across. I used a 5.5mm crochet hook, and weight 4 yarn. I used Caron 1 pound if you're interested in 9 different colors. And it took me about 30 minutes per row to do each row. And the blanket at the end of it weighs 11 pounds and fits my queen size bed. So it's a really big blanket. And that leads me to talking about the pressure I had from myself to finish the blanket, when I started my blanket, I was already late. January and February, like, were the only months that I was on track. Once I caught up in January, from starting on the 16th, I was very good in January, very good in February. March, I wanted to do some other projects. I wanted to finish some other projects. So that's when I started to get behind. Not a very good start, I know. And then I didn't catch up till July, sometime in July. And then in August, I was feeling really, really burnt out. And I wanted a break from the blanket because it was a lot of work. And I was constantly trying to like not fall behind again. So I had a lot of pressure on myself to not fall behind. So I purposely took a month-long break. I was like, I can't work on this right now. I'm going to not finish it. So I have to take a break. So August I took a break, and then once December 31st rolled around, I was still behind. I think I finished the last day of October when I was like staying up for the ball to drop on New Year's Eve. And then I didn't finish until January 16th of 2022. And that's including washing, blocking, making sure everything was like actually woven in correctly. And yeah. But I had a lot of pressure on myself, and I felt really bad about not having it done on time and also falling behind while I was doing it. So I have learned since, because I do want to make another temperature blanket, that just because everyone else will have it done by December 31st. That doesn't mean I have to. And finishing the blanket is better than not finishing it and it just becoming an unfinished object sitting around in some closet somewhere. So I definitely learned patience and like doing it and finishing it even though it is late is better than just giving up on the project, especially because I really, really enjoy the blanket. I sleep with it every night and it's so comforting and it's my favorite blanket I've ever made to date. And my perfectionism definitely played a part in like my blanket. So I was very good about weaving in my ends every time I switched colors. And that definitely helped because if I had all those ends, like so many ends to weave in at the very end, I might have just given up on it. And then I was also very good about keeping up with all of my supplies, like all of my yarn. I didn't like run out of yarn. I didn't lose my yarn. I didn't lose my hook either. But like where my perfectionism was against me is that I almost didn't finish it, and I way overbought yarn. So it's a queen size blanket. It weighs 11 pounds. So essentially, I used 11 like balls of the Karen 1 pound. Like obviously give and take because like some colors I use more of and some I use less of. But I bought 21 Karen 1 pounds, and I made 2 more blankets out of them. Another one of those was queen size, and the second one is a really big throw size, probably closer to a twin size blanket. And I still have some leftover yarn from it. But, you know, it's okay. We live and we learn. And I didn't want to run out of the colors. And some of the Karen Anniversary colors were the ones I had bought on accident. So they were discontinuing them. And I wanted to make sure I didn't run out. But I had them if I needed them. So, whatever. All in all, I would say making my temperature blanket was a ton of fun, despite like me being behind most of the time. And I'll definitely make one again. I think I'll probably use the same pattern of single crochets because I like how heavy and comfy it is. And I'll probably do about the same size because I like the width in comparison to the length. It's a very good like dimension because like you still have to have like 365 rows at least, and I want to have like the border rows as well, so it's a good size. But yeah, I know next time not to buy as much yarn, how much yarn I'll need approximately, and I'll definitely give myself some more breathing room next time when I make one, so that when I do, like when life gets in the way and I do get behind, I'll feel better about catching up and not just rush to like finish the blanket and like enjoy the process, because crochet is a hobby and it's about the process and it being fun. And at the end of this blanket, it definitely wasn't fun. I was just trying to finish. So I know now to give myself breathing room and give myself the grace to just finish it peacefully and not try and rush to get it done. But I really am glad I did make one, and I'm glad I finished, and I will make another one maybe next year. I don't know. It's a big time commitment, so I've got to like kind of plan my projects around it. But it was really fun. And I would love to hear what you guys' thoughts are on temperature blankets in general. And if you have any questions for me about my blanket or about making a temperature blanket, I'd love to hear that also in the comments, and I'd love to like have a discussion about it. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!